If I told you that to become rich, you don't need $1,000,000 first, you just need $10,000, you might think that's a joke. But the truth is, many self-made millionaires' financial journeys began with exactly this one small goal. Today I'll tell you how your first $10,000 changes not just your pocket, but your mindset. And by the end of this video, you'll have a practical roadmap you can start applying to your life today. Most people make one huge mistake. They start with the wrong goal. Someone says, "I want to become a millionaire." Someone says, "I want financial freedom." And someone says, "I need $2 million for retirement." These goals sound great, but there's a problem. Your brain doesn't actually accept such a big number as a real goal. It treats it as a dream. And when a goal becomes a dream, action slowly starts to disappear. That's why millions of people work hard for years, but their financial progress is minimal. Now think of a small example. If I told you, today you have to run 5 kilometers, you'd probably think, that's really hard. But if I said, just walk the next 100 steps first, how does that feel now? Easy. That's the difference. A big goal scares you. A small goal gets you moving. And in the financial world, that first small but powerful goal is your first $10,000. But the question is, why exactly $10,000? Why not $5,000? Why not $20,000? Is there magic in this number? No, the magic isn't in the number. The magic is in the person who reaches that number. Now let's understand the first reason. Reason 1. Your first $10,000 changes your identity more than your money. Most people think saving is just about accumulating money. But the reality is much bigger than that. Saving is a process of changing your identity. Let's understand this through a small story. Suppose there's a young man living in America. His name is Jake. Jake earns about $4,000 every month, but by the end of the month, nothing is left in his account. Why? Because as soon as his salary arrives, a little shopping, a little online order, a little weekend out, a little credit card payment, and the month is over. Jake always told himself the same thing. I'm not a person who saves. Notice something. He didn't just make a decision about money, he made a decision about himself. That is, his identity became, I can't save. Now imagine, if that same Jake slowly starts saving, saves just $50 every week. A few months later, $500, then $2,000, then $5,000, and one day, for the first time, his bank account shows $10,000. Did only his bank balance change? No, his mindset changed. Now he'll tell himself, if I can save $10,000, I can save $20,000 too. This is where financial confidence is born. This confidence eventually leads to investing, it grows income, it starts businesses, and many times this confidence is what makes a person a millionaire. A small experiment. Imagine opening your banking app on your phone right now. If it shows a balance of $148, how would you feel? Now open that same app and it shows a balance of $10,148. Is the difference just the numbers? No. In that moment, your brain sends a message, I am financially in control. This feeling reduces stress, increases confidence, and helps you make better decisions. Remember, before you become rich, your mind first starts believing it is financially responsible, and that's the first shift. But confidence alone isn't enough, because confidence doesn't pay bills. Now let's talk about something every successful investor knows, and this is why your first $10,000 is the hardest, but after that, the journey slowly gets easier. Reason 2. The beginning is always the hardest. Imagine a small snowball. It's sitting at the top of a mountain. If you give it a light push, at first it moves very slowly, but as it rolls down, it keeps picking up more snow along the way. And after some time, it becomes many times bigger than before. Money works exactly the same way. In the beginning, you have to earn every dollar yourself, but later on, your money starts working for you too. Let's understand this with a simple calculation. Suppose you invest $300 every month. That's about $3,600 a year. If you get an average 10% return, growth will feel very slow at first. In year 1, the investment is small, so the return will be small too. Year 2, a little better. Year 3, a little more. But there comes a point when the returns start coming not just from your new investments, but from your previous returns too. This is compound growth. Some call it the eighth wonder of the world. But you don't need a complicated formula to understand it. Just remember one thing. In the beginning, you work for money. Later, money works for you. And the first big milestone of this shift is your first $10,000. Another example. Suppose there are two friends, Alex and Ryan. Both started investing on the same day. Alex invested for only 3 months, then stopped. Ryan kept the amount small that kept investing consistently. 5 years later, Ryan pulled ahead. Why? Because in investing, you don't need to be a genius. You need to be consistent. Investing a little every month eventually gives a big result. That's why financial success isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Whoever moves slowly often goes the furthest. So far, we've understood 2 things. First, $10,000 changes your mindset. Second, this is where the real power of compound growth begins. But now comes perhaps the most practical reason, and this reason can reduce the stress in your entire life. Reason 3. Your first $10,000 is your financial seatbelt. Suppose you're driving your car. You wear your seatbelt every day. Is it because you plan to get into an accident? Not at all. You wear it because if an accident ever happens, the damage will be less. An emergency fund works exactly the same way. No one plans to lose their job next month, or suddenly need to go to the hospital, or have their car engine break down. But life doesn't follow our plans. That's why financially smart people build an emergency fund first, then everything else, investments. Suppose you have no savings, and suddenly a $2,500 medical bill shows up. What options do you have now? Credit card? Loan? Borrowing? But if you have a $10,000 emergency fund, that same problem becomes just a temporary situation. No panic, no high-interest debt, no sleepless nights. Remember, an emergency fund doesn't make you rich, but it definitely keeps you from becoming poor. And many times, that is the biggest financial advantage of all. So far, we've covered 3 very important points. First, your first $10,000 changes your identity. Second, this is where your money starts working for you. Third, it becomes a safety cushion that protects you from financial emergencies. But the most interesting part is still ahead. If $10,000 is this important, then why do most people never even reach this target? Is it because their salary is low? Not always. Is it because they don't work hard? They absolutely do. The real reason is something else, and I think this is the reason that keeps millions of people stuck in the same place for years. Reason 4. The problem isn't income. The problem is money leaks. Let me ask you a question. If your house's water tank fills up every day, but there's a small hole at the bottom, what happens? The tank never fills up completely. Now think, if you earn $5,000 every month, but mindlessly spend $5,050, what happens? No matter how much your income grows, your savings won't grow. That's why some people earn $40,000 a year and still have savings, while some people earn $120,000, but their account is nearly empty by month's end. The difference isn't the salary, it's the habits. A real-life story. Suppose there are 2 friends, Chris and Daniel. Both earn a salary of $70,000 a year. Both live in the same city. Both are around the same age. But 5 years later, Chris has $45,000 in savings, while Daniel has almost nothing. Why? Chris didn't win any lottery, he just did 3 things. First, As soon as his salary arrived, he paid himself first, meaning savings first, expenses later. Second, he reviewed every subscription every 6 months. Netflix, gym, apps, streaming services, whatever wasn't being used, he canceled it. Third, he didn't let his lifestyle grow faster than his salary. When his salary increased, he didn't upgrade his car, he increased his investments. That's it. No magic, no secret, just discipline. This is where nearly everyone makes the same mistake, and you've probably made it too. When income increases, we think, now I can buy a better phone, get a better car, get a bigger apartment, and slowly, every new bit of income becomes a new expense. In finance, this is called lifestyle inflation. Let's understand lifestyle inflation simply. Suppose you got your first job. Salary, $3,500 a month. You're happy. Then you got a promotion. Now your salary is $5,000. Now you have an extra $1,500. There are 2 paths now. Path 1, spend the extra $1,500 every month. Path 2, invest $1,000 of it. Just 5 years later, these 2 people's financial lives will be completely different. Why? Because one increased their income, but not their wealth. The other increased their income and their assets. Remember, looking rich and becoming rich are 2 completely different things. So far, we've understood that savings aren't built from income alone, they're built from habits. But now the question is, if you have $0 right now, where do you start? Investing first, or an emergency fund first, or pay off debt first? This is where most confusion happens, so let's break it down step by step.
Reason 5. The practical roadmap to building your first $10,000. I'm not going to give you some overnight rich formula, because no such formula exists. But I will give you the same system that millions of people around the world have followed to build financial stability. Step 1. Save your first $1,000. If you have no savings right now, don't even think about $10,000. First, $1,000. That's it. Why? Because small goals get completed, and every completed goal boosts your confidence. If your very first goal is too big, chances are you'll give up halfway. Step 2. Pay off high-interest debt. Suppose your credit card charges 22% interest, and at the same time, you're trying to earn 10% return in the stock market. What's happening? On one hand, you're earning $100. On the other, you're losing $220. It's exactly like filling a bucket of water while there's a huge hole at the bottom. So, first, pay off high-interest debt. Then, start investing. Step 3. Make your saving automatic. This step is as simple as it is powerful. Every month after your salary arrives, don't decide for yourself how much to save, because your mood will be different every month. Sometimes you'll feel like shopping, sometimes traveling, sometimes there'll be a sale going on. So, automate it. Salary arrives, and that same day, 10 or 15% goes straight into your investment account. Now, there's no decision to make. And this is exactly what makes the biggest difference in the long run. Example, suppose you automatically invest $400 every month. A year later, about $4,800. 2 years later, about $9,600. Add the returns on top, and your first $10,000 will be built before you even think about it. That's the power of automation. But what if your income itself is low? How will you save? This is where most people say, I'll start saving once I earn more. Sounds right, but the reality is exactly the opposite. If you've stuck with this so far, then you now know your first $10,000 isn't just a savings target. It's the beginning of a whole new financial life. But now the biggest question, if your income itself is low, How will you save? This is where most people say, I'll start saving once I earn more. Sounds right, but the reality is exactly the opposite.
Reason 6. Change your system before your income. Here's a small story. A woman named Emily living in America earned about $3,800 a month. She used to think, my income is low, so I can't save. But one day, she looked at her entire bank statement. She found out that every month, roughly $120 on food delivery, $95 on unused subscriptions, $180 on random Amazon shopping, $150 on coffee and snacks, $200 on shopping she didn't even remember. Altogether, about $745 every month was going toward things that weren't changing her life at all. Now think about it. $745 every month. That's about $9,000 a year. Meaning, just by understanding her spending, she could have built almost her entire first $10,000. This is the biggest lesson here. Many times the problem isn't low income. The problem is mindless spending. An exercise. If you're watching this video, do just one thing tonight. Open your bank statement from the last 30 days. Take a piece of paper and write down every expense into 3 categories: necessary, useful, impulse. You'll be shocked at how much of your money is going into that 3rd category. That's where saving begins. But cutting expenses alone isn't the whole solution. There comes a point where you also need to increase your income. And this is exactly the point where financially successful people think differently from everyone else. Income growth. You won't become rich through saving alone.
Suppose you save $300 every month. That's a really good thing. But if you keep saving the same amount for the next 5 years too, you'll make progress, but it'll be slow. Now look at another person. He also started with $300, but he also worked on increasing his income every year. He learned a new skill, got a promotion, started a side hustle, did some freelancing, made extra income on weekends. Year 1, saved $300. Year 2, $500. Year 3, $800. Year 4, $1,000. Now think, whose first $10,000 will come faster? Always the one who's also growing their income. So, saving is necessary, but income growth speeds up wealth. You can always get rich in 2 ways. First, by spending less. Second, by earning more. What's the fastest path? Doing both together. Now, the last point, and perhaps the most important point in this entire video.
Mindset. $10,000 isn't the destination. If you've built your first $10,000, congratulations, but don't stop here, because now you have the most powerful thing of all, proof. Now you don't need motivation from any book. You've proven it yourself. Now your mind knows that discipline is possible, saving is possible, investing is possible, building wealth is possible. Now the next target, $20,000, then $50,000, then $100,000. Every next target will feel easier than the one before it. Why? Because the system is already built. Imagine 2 people plant a tree on the same day. The first person waters the tree every single day. The second sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. A year later, the 2 trees will look very different. Money works exactly the same way. Investing isn't a lottery, it's a tree. It needs time, consistency, and patience. If you keep digging it up again and again to check how big it's grown, it will never grow big. So what did we learn today? First, don't think about $1 million. First, build your first $10,000. Second, saving isn't just about accumulating money, it's about changing your identity. Third, an emergency fund protects you from stress. Fourth, compound growth eventually puts your money to work for you over time. Fifth, avoid lifestyle inflation. When your salary increases, don't increase your spending, increase your investments. Sixth, automate your saving, so discipline doesn't depend on your mood. And lastly, grow your income, because wealth isn't just built by spending less, it's also built by earning more. I want you, that once this video ends, don't save some motivational quote, don't download some fancy financial app, just do one thing. Open your bank balance on your phone. Whatever number you see, write it down. If it's $47, write that down. If it's $870, write that down. If it's $4,300, write that down. Then underneath it, write just one line. Next stop, $10,000. That's it. One number, one direction, and every month a little closer to it. Believe me, one day you'll look back and realize that your financial life wasn't changed by $1 million. It was changed by your first $10,000. If you learned even one new thing from this video, please like it. Subscribe to the channel because in the next video, we'll talk about the fastest and most practical journey from $10,000 to $100,000. And believe me, that journey will be even more exciting than this one. Thank you. See you in the next video.